Charlotte. Charlotte wins the women's rumble,
Charlotte
which
wins.
I thought was this was the best women's rumble of the three so far. The black excellence on display alone makes this the best one of the three. You had that first one. That first one was shaky with the legends sometimes, and they're just standing around.
I think the nostalgia thing popped the first one. The second one, I don't really remember.
The second one's bad.
The second one was legitimately only memorable for
the last half.
Becky. Yeah. Not even the last half, like the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But like the whole Becky thing and like coming and like owning her moment, which was the kind of story of that. This one kind of had I think the thing with these two rumbles is they definitely had a story to tell, and they decided that we're going to showcase a lot of talent while doing so. Bianca Belair entering number 2, eliminating 8 other women is thus far a women's Royal Rumble record. I think it's tied with Shayna Baszler, which sucks ass, but whatever. NXT eliminated more than half the Rumble.
Well, it continues the dedication.
Let her have something. Damn, she had the record for 15 minutes.
She does have something. Like, all right, you're trying to make it more than what it is.
No, I'm not making it what it is. I'm not saying racist Royal Rumble. I'm not
racist
doing
angle. Hashtag racist angle.
Not racist Royal Rumble.
How do you feel about that? Because I know you saw it yesterday, and I know you were like probably rolling your eyes like I did.
I'm wondering if it's just racist behind a paywall, or is it actually like a racist thing? Like,
he shot you the link to the article.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, wait, why was it racist? And he was like, you can read about it on the PW Torch, sting sheets. I was like, is it racist or not? Like, are you trying to sell this as sort of a thing to sort of drag on? Because I'm like, yeah, Brock Lesnar is the huge, large white man, and there's a lot of stars eliminated, but it was the story of the thing. It didn't even cross my mind that racism could even be factored into this.
I think that if you were a white dude and a lot of black people are looking at you like, what are you talking about? You should probably stop talking about our experience.
Yeah.
You should just not. You should not talk about our experience at all, but you should talk about our experience when it comes up and we're actually offended by it. I don't think anyone was offended by either of these rumbles. I think that he was making a lot out of it. But continuing on to my original point about the women's rumble, they're continuing to want NXT to look strong, right? So they have NXT coming in, eliminating a lot of main roster people because they want to set up, I would imagine, a big rematch in Survivor Series where every brand wants to get NXT back for what they did last year. But I thought Bianca was working her ass off that whole match.
Let me tell you about Bianca. Bianca eliminated 7 out of the 8 SmackDown women.
Yeah.
It was insane. Like, she really came through.
Continuing the smoke that she laid on them that one SmackDown that they visited, and she was beating the absolute hell out of Dana Brooke and tossed Carmella into the unknown. She continued that there. Alexa Bliss was also a standout in the match as well. I want to see a Bliss Belair match. They have really great chemistry.
They look really, really well together. I mean, we've been saying it's time to call Belair up to the main roster, but it is. And then someone who also looked dominant, I mean, Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler came in. She was only in the match 4 minutes and had 8 eliminations. Mm-hmm. Like, she came in and she kind of just housed everyone. She housed NXT. Like, you look at the bottom half, if you look on Wikipedia, from like, she eliminated Naomi, Beth Phoenix, Toni Storm, Zia Lee, Zelina Vega, Shotzi Blackheart, Carmella, Tegan Knox. Like, I think also, who else did she eliminate? She eliminated someone else as well. But she kind of came through and she kind of delivered it. I think it was telling the story, and they become a lot more self-aware because they know that we've also been thinking, like, could Shayna Baszler win it? Like,
I love that it was those two at the end.
Yeah, so I think they did a great job, and I also think Beth Phoenix, albeit very dangerous to have her, she had the back of her head open and was bleeding for more than half the match. also a standout performance in this thing. She went 23 minutes for someone who doesn't wrestle. So for someone who talked all week, she went 23 minutes and was a very pivotal part of this entire thing. So I'll say that as well. Naomi, incredible. The spot with Mandy Rose and Otis, genius.
Mm-hmm. He had the save. He had the save of the night.
Save of the night. I'll say this. I'll ask you this. How did you feel about Santina Morella?
I think I said it that night. It's stupid, but it's not anything that we should be talking about that deeply. I think it was just for a moment. All Rumbles have this. It was to essentially pop the crowd. I think it pretty much set up. I think that happened to set up the second half of the Rumble. Honestly, of that Rumble. I mean, there was no one else out there. I think
it was for comedic relief, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was. There was none. It was literally Belair.
Things were getting really serious.
Yeah, it was just her squashing people, and I was just like, we gotta kind of lighten the mood. I could see if this was every year. It wasn't. It was not every year. You had the legends, you had the new people, you had the established stars, and you had a comedy angle. And they're trying something new every single year with these. And I think that of all of the Rumbles that they've had for the women, this worked for me because not only of just the Belair and Shayna and even Shotzi Blackheart parts of it, but it was that as well. I saw people saying when Santina came out that we can't have Sasha there too. I was just like, well, is she active?
Sasha's
and then it came
hurt,
out.
Yeah,
it came out she was hurt. So
yeah, that Dana Brooke, man.
Snake bit, man.
I blame Dana Brooke. I'll just say that. You haven't seen her since Dana Brooke fell on her and crushed whatever was in her. But yeah.
So Charlotte won. Didn't really give any inkling as to who she wanted to face because, of course, on Raw she was interrupted by Asuka. They proceeded to have a banger of a match, which went to DQ. I'm glad they didn't give that away on TV again. But where is she? Where is she going here? I'm very interested in the Bayley, Becky, Charlotte mix, Shayna, whatever. I don't know where they're going with this stuff right now.
I don't know where they're going either. I still want the Fatal 4-Way. It's looking reportedly that Fatal 4-Way is not happening. And it has been reported of Becky's opponent, and it will not be Charlotte, which is fair. I mean, we kind of did that all of 2019 and 2018.
Okay, spoilers. 1 minute. If you don't want to hear the spoiler, go for it.
I'm not going to say the spoiler. That's what I'm saying. Oh, no, I guess.
Let's talk about it. So, if you don't want to hear the spoilers, skip ahead a minute. So,
okay. You put the timer on because I didn't.
Well, don't skip ahead now. Skip ahead. Right, skip ahead now. Charlotte's supposed to be on NXT tonight.
Huh.
So supposedly it's supposed to be Rhea Ripley.
What?
Exactly. But just in the interest of time, if your goal is to make Charlotte a Grand Slam champion on all brands, why? But if your goal is to make her lose at Mania to Rhea Ripley, why? And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm very confused on why she would choose that.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
Spoiler over. Spoiler is over. We will see if that pans out. But Charlotte, there aren't many options. There are not many people that are ready. I mean, clearly there are only two champions that could be ready. I don't think she's going to face Lacey Evans. I don't think she's going to pick Bayley. I mean, from what you said, Meelz, and what I've heard, it's not going to be Becky either. We don't want to see that again. Who could it be? Yeah. I don't know who it could be. So let's get to the men's rumble.
Yeah, because unlike that, we know who the hell this is going to be. The men's rumble was, I think it was an incredible story. An incredible, non-racist.
Someone said, I love this match, but I hate this match. And I completely understand how someone could feel that way about this match.
It was you know what? I give it a 10 out of 10 for originality. Because you have never seen any, like, realistically, like, if you set Brock Lesnar at number one, this is how it should go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, imagine Brock Lesnar's in there and then like 6 other guys, and then Brock Lesnar's just in a corner, just like using his foot to try to get someone over the top rope. It's like, then it kind of ruins the mystique of Brock Lesnar.
Mm-hmm.
We've also seen Brock Lesnar enter later in the Royal Rumble and then kind of get, eliminated by, precarious situations and stuff like that. He enters number one. Honestly, this is how it should go. Mm-hmm. The man was, he was launching people. Elias, gone. Eric Rowan, gone.
What he did to John Morrison, I would have wanted to see him after that. But John Morrison came in and he kicked him for real. You saw that, right? He was trying to like kind of bust on Brock a little bit. I was like, what's going on here?
Listen, John Morrison works stiff apparently, but Brock Lesnar works stiffer. So how about that?
He flipped him. He flipped him over that ring. He did like 2 front flips, and then Booker T was like, "Was that parkour?" Started laughing. Oh man!
Oh, first of all, Tom Phillips back. Welcome back, Tom Phillips. Sorry, Vic Joseph. I didn't really like you that much, but I thought it was a great tale of kind of like you have this first half of the Royal Rumble with Brock Lesnar kind of dominating, and it really became like a gauntlet of like who could really stand against Brock. And you had this moment of Kofi Kingston, Rey Mysterio, and Big E trying their hand, and you got a little pop from there. You had, a surprise Montel Vontavious Porter come in. He got eliminated quickly, and then you saw Keith Lee, and I think this was a match that you look at it just visually, and you're just like, whoa, okay, could this be a future matchup? And then Braun Strowman comes in, and it's a battle of the monsters and things like that. But Brock Lesnar disposes of them, but then Drew McIntyre shows up. And this is the guy who, over the last number of weeks, it just felt like he was going to win this match. I feel like just the energy that they had for him, the wins that they had for him, the things that they were kind of trying out with him, they really wanted him to sort of begin to set in these seeds that he's going to win this match. And he comes in and absolutely kicks the shit out of Brock Lesnar.
Loved it. I loved it. And Brock was like, whoa, who is that, bro?
First of all, the selling. Brock Lesnar is such a goat for the selling. He was on the ground for 2 minutes.
Be clear. Brock was a goat for this match because I didn't know how this was going to work. I'm shocked that he worked this long. This is the longest match he's been in like years.
26 minutes he was in the Royal Rumble. It's 26 minutes. That's way more than we've seen him in any other match, quite honestly. But he came in, and there are times he sold his ass off. I think, you know what? I'll give Ricochet for the assist, even though Ricochet got disposed of pretty quickly after. But Ricochet came in with the assist, the kind of the receipt for getting kicked in the balls.
That storytelling.
He returned the favor, and Drew McIntyre legitimately kicked the shit out of Brock Lesnar and sent him over the top rope. And I'll give Brock Lesnar look just disoriented from the way he was on the ground and just sucking wind to the way he getting to the back and looking kind of disappointed in himself because he thought he was 100% going to win, and Paul Heyman thought he was going to win. And he's kind of standing in the face of like the new guy that's kind of dominating it all. And then the second half, I think, was interweaving the various stories on different brands. Yep. I mean, to me, one of the most genius parts was the Seth Rollins enter and just him bring his squad, and he's just like, I'm not coming alone. Are you fucking insane? Like,
I really like that because again, he played spoiler in a way that people look at Roman in that spot, and I thought that the way they set that up for Drew was just spectacular. Like it didn't take long. Because, I mean, we were literally just asking 2 weeks ago, like, is Drew getting over? And, like, we were literally like, I kind of liked him a couple weeks ago. And, here was when it kind of really came together. And by the end, I was like, you know what? Like, I really was rooting for him in the same way that they built up Seth last year. I thought the way they built up Seth was this was better than what they did for him last year. And that was a huge moment. The pop for that was crazy. But I think that, interweaving all those stories, including the Seth story, including the Aleister Black thing, because he threw out Aleister, which led to something else later on Raw with Aleister, I guess, kind of putting it out there.
He's coming for people. He's done with people trying to come to him. He's like, I am going to wreak havoc at this point, which I loved.
Yeah, I think that you know, everything about this Rumble was from start to finish. It was, and I mean, I really love the 2018 Rumble. You know, that was one of my favorite ones. I think these past couple Rumbles we got with the men have been really, really fire. I gotta say,
No, I think they've been doing a great job of just telling stories. And I think that's kind of we kind of forget about as fans watching this Rumble. We kind of like try to figure out, like, we're trying to kind of posture of like, okay, where are they going? What is it?
Mhm.
Instead of us actually absorbing that this could be an entertaining kind of deal with the people that are involved, we're kind of angling of like, okay, who's the future? Who's next? Who's coming out of this the winner? Who's that? And then they actually delivered an entertaining Rumble. I think Brock Lesnar is every bit of the attraction and every bit worth the money that he is given every time he's there. And I think the Drew McIntyre winning this entire thing, it's something that people want because I generally feel like it's a fresh contender at a big event. And we rarely have we rarely have those over the last decade. I mean, it's really been Cena, then it's been Roman, but this is the first time that I don't think either of them will be, other than the ladies last year, but I don't think either of them will be sniffing the main event this year.
Nakamura broke that streak, I thought, to me, in the decade. Nakamura broke that streak.
Oh, you're right. Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Nakamura broke that.
But I think, Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar, I think where we're at with Drew McIntyre is good. But I think they're also realizing that they have 2 more months to kind of take it over the top.
And they can get there for sure.
Yeah,
but the biggest part of this Rumble, and we're bearing the lead again, the return of Edge. Have you heard a pop that big?
No.
Ever.
No.
On a day where everything seemed bleak and we were already trying to escape, I think seeing Edge return was kind of like the giveth and the taketh away,
seeing Edge's face as he walked through the smoke, and he just kind of looked like he was kind of he looked like he was coming back through time, like he looked like, and he was generally, I think, overtaken by the moment. And how could you not be as a human, right? Like, how could you not be for the appreciation of thousands of people in an audience just kind of willing you into that sort of moment? This is someone who, I can tell you this, I mean, because our podcast didn't exist. I remember the 2011, and the day he was retired, it was announced on WWE.com. He was like, Edge has a big announcement on the show. I was like, oh, fuck. Because the only time Edge had big announcements was like, I'm injured, which has been a recurring
every single time. Yeah.
It had been a recurring thing for like the past 7 years up to that point. It's like his body over the years, I think out of anyone from that TLC era of the Dudleys and Jeff Hardys and Edge and Christian, his body took the brunt of everything. His body is just you look at it, it's just a canvas of injuries, from rotator cuffs to, neck injuries to head injuries to orbital bones to shoulders to fingers to all these other things.
What was it in his knee one time? Wasn't his knee or ACL one time?
I don't think so, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was like a nagging thing that he did.
The 2008 return, I think it was because he came back real big for that one when he came back from Survivor Series.
Yeah. At this point, because he's injured, you're injured so much you can't even work out properly.
Right.
So at this point, you kind of give up working out. That's why Kane looks like the way he does now. But you kind of give it up. And 2011, I remember that moment, and he says, I can't wrestle anymore. Like the doctors just saying, he caught the stinger. He caught the stinger bad, similar to the way that Paige did, where, except this part was, I think it was, what's his name? Titus. I don't remember the Funkasaurus, whatever.
Titus.
He got hit.
It's Tyrus, right? Yeah, it's Tyrus.
It's Tyrus. He got hit by a chair with him and just couldn't feel his arms. And then it's just like, listen, maybe it's time to go check it out. And they said, like, hey, you can't wrestle anymore. And you looked at the tears and his, the emotion of him, because it was kind of taken away from him. And even to me, I kind of want him to go back in the Hall of Fame. Because, here's the thing. he was, to me, he was prematurely put into Hall of Fame to kind of like pop a WrestleMania thing. Because to be his age and inducted into the Hall of Fame, I feel like that was more of a pity. Like, we know you can't wrestle, so we want to celebrate your career this way. And I always felt like it was too soon. I always felt like we didn't even get the chance to kind of like breathe and like kind of let his career kind of soak in our minds and kind of like this. It was all kind of within a whirlwind moment. And I'm sure it's probably a blur at this point.
Yeah.
But for
the 2008 one was a pec muscle. The 2008 one was a pec muscle.
Yeah.
Pectoral.
For 9 years, he kind of lived, well, maybe it was 8 years, but he kind of like was settled with the fact that he did acting and, you know, podcasting and the show on the network and all these other things. He kind of lived with the fact that it's like, okay, I'm not wrestling anymore. So I just get kind of be a normal person. And even over the last year, like his mom passed away and all this other stuff that kind of happened. And, you know, I think
it's just good to see him win. It's good to see him win.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think just having that moment to kind of share with your kids and kind of show them why you were the shit. And then also just the win itself for being able to come over insurmountable odds. Doctors told him, you can't wrestle anymore. And he was like, if you wrestle anymore, you will be paralyzed. And to see him kind of come out and see the kind of emotion, the human aspect, and kind of like realizing all this other stuff, like it was a very emotional moment. Like I legitimately was like, man, wrestling is fucking awesome.